Welcome once again to TV Toastmasters. My name is Phillip Mandell. I'm a member of Creekside Toastmasters as well as TV Toastmasters, and I will be your host for today, and I have the pleasure of interviewing my good friend, a fellow pianist, a cyclist. She's a mother of two wonderful teenagers, a wife, one of my favorite people in the world, Christy Moore. Christy.
Thank you.
Welcome to TV Toastmasters.
Wow.
Oh my
I didn't know
gosh.
you had all those wonderful thoughts towards me.
Oh, that you're a mother and a wife?
Oh, that's just really sweet. Thanks.
Oh, that's okay. So I'm curious, now that the smoke has cleared, we've had smoke from the fires for several days, and that made the air kind of yucky. And today we had blue skies.
Yes.
Did you ride your bike?
I did. I did. I knew that you'd be so jealous because you didn't get a chance to.
Oh.
So, yes. And I climbed some hills, and I just looked at the blue sky, and it was awesome.
What does cycling do for you? Why is that such a avid hobby of yours?
Oh, it's like therapy and much cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah. And the longer the better. So if I have like an issue with somebody, I just know I just need to go out and move with my bike.
Yeah.
And then for some reason it like lines everything up.
Oh
it
my
makes
gosh.
it all okay.
I know what you're saying because I do the same thing.
So if, you and I are having a conversation and I say I need to go ride my bike, you know that, yeah,
It was me.
yeah, we had issues.
Got it. Now, piano.
Yes.
My friends, this woman can play a piano. So, you started when you were younger.
I did.
Why don't you tell us a little about it and how you got so
In it.
jazzed about it and
Okay.
where you like to perform and such?
So I played before I remembered playing. So I've been told by my parents that, so when I was about one, I know at church, the people would sing solo and they would hold and sustain the note at the end of the phrase, and I would hum and match the pitch, and my whole family evidently just start going into giggles and laughter and stuff like that. Well, when I was 2 though, I'd start trying to pick out those melodies on the piano, and my dad is like, "Hey, Kristy, I could show you how to play some chords on your left hand while your right hand plays those familiar tunes."
You were 2?
Yes.
Your hands are like this big? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And to this day, my dad actually has one of those old twirly piano benches, it's like this, and I'm sitting on it and my legs are dangling and my hair is like, and I've got these little tubby fingers, and I'm 2 and I'm just playing away. So, and that's before I can remember. So,
Wow.
and it was all in Brazil, in the sticks of Brazil. I was brought up a missionary kid. And so we really didn't have a reliable source of electricity. So entertainment was really playing the piano.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And standing around the piano and singing in 4-part harmony and sight reading and singing and such.
Oh my gosh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was great times.
And so you kind of learned without lessons, and at some point did you take lessons? What happened after that?
Good question.
Thank you.
My parents were both piano minors, and so they just taught me what they had and what they had available to them, because we were in the sticks, and so whatever music we had available. And then when I came to the States for the first time, I was in 1st grade, and I took formal piano lessons then. And then I went back to Brazil when I was like in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on through. It was not until I was 15 and I came back to the States for real to stay.
Okay.
And I still didn't think I played anything spectacular because I didn't have anything to compare myself to.
Okay.
And that's when my piano teacher said, "You should enter a competition." And I did.
There are piano competitions?
Yeah, here at Portland.
Fun.
Yeah. So I entered a piano competition and I got 2nd place, and then I entered another one and in Seattle and got 1st place, and that was when I realized something must be special, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that part right. And then you went to music school.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, so I hopped around a lot. I went to Mount Hood just to get some of my prerequisites out of the way.
Mount Hood Community College.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mount Hood Community College, and then I went to what's now called Corbin for a year.
Okay.
And then I went to Chicago to Moody Bible Institute, and then the fourth year was when I finally landed at Portland State University with Harold Gray and Mary Cogan and Jeff Payne and Carol Rich, and they have molded and shaped me like incredibly as a pianist.
We have them to thank.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
Of course, and all the teachers before that too. But you know, each teacher provides something different, and we all owe it to them.
We stand on the shoulders of giants.
We do.
So interesting. So now when you perform, are you solo? Are you an accompanist? What's your performance look like?
Okay. Oh boy, it is. Sometimes it's just I play whenever someone wants me to play. So whether it's for weddings or for receptions, but my absolute favorite is really as a music collaborator. I love to play with other violinists or cellists or flautists in chamber music, chamber piano music. And then another thing I really love to do is I love to accompany choral choirs. It's just like heaven, what I imagine heaven to be like.
Okay. And you had said an interesting phrase to me several months ago, something like, well, I say music is life, and you said something. You said like music is everything. What was your phrase?
Oh boy, music is everything.
Oh, music is king.
Oh, that's right. I remember this conversation.
Yes. What do you mean by that?
Oh, yes. You and I, we were rehearsing, and you said, "What is it that dictates when it's time to actually start playing or performing?" And I said, I actually view it as just like music is the king, where it dictates to me what is to be played, how it's supposed to be played, and I become master to it. So.
Okay, that gives me goosebumps. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you. Now let's move on to parenting.
Oh.
Don't fret, because you have two of the most wonderful kids I've ever met, even though they're teenagers. And just adorable.
That's funny, even though they're teenagers. We all know what that is.
I know.
That's a big, even though, yeah.
They're different species, but still they're very beautiful kids. And
thank you.
And I'm thinking back to one conversation we had. When I wonder if the viewers can relate to this.
Yeah.
I think your daughter Isabella.
Yes.
Was trying on outfits for something for the prom. I don't know what it was. And you had some beautiful things to say to her. Do you remember what that was, and would you be willing to share?
So she was trying on several different outfits, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall the time of which this happened.
I think it might have been for prom. I don't remember.
Well, one thing I say to her often about her outfits, I always say, pick your skin.
Okay.
So if it's going to be revealing on the top, it can't be revealing down below.
Pick your skin. Oh my God, that's weird.
And definitely this is the case for prom.
Yeah, right.
If there was ever a time.
You're right.
If it's going to be revealing down below, then it has to be very...
Oh, that's interesting.
Up top. But,
okay.
You know...
what I'm thinking of is she wanted your opinion on which outfit was best. And you were talking about the adult part of her, and you, the adult. Am I speaking Greek? Do you remember? Do you need more prompting?
Just a little bit more.
Oh, goodness gracious. You said something like, she kept coming down and wanted to know if this was the right outfit. And you said something like, Bella, you're becoming an adult. And if this adult...
Me.
Keeps telling you...
And I was asking her to have a mind of her own, right?
Yes.
Oh.
How did you describe that to me? That was just extraordinary.
Yeah. That's interesting. So when she kept coming down and asking for my thoughts and my opinions. And the whole skin thing is like the only thing, that was the only basis. Other than that, I wanted her to have her own thoughts and opinions as to what she felt like she needed to be wearing.
Right.
Because I wanted her own true self to be exhibited as best as possible. Because we wear our art. We wear who we are.
That's true.
So, but she kept coming down for my opinion. And I said, no, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I want to know what you want, because I want you to discover you.
Right.
And so she'd rush back upstairs again, and she'd come back down with something different. And I'd be like, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you, because she's so accustomed. Yeah, probably shame on me for giving too much opinion. Anyway, but anyways, I just said it's time for her as an adult to be exhibiting her own thoughts and her own opinion about what she wears and what she shouldn't wear.
Right.
And all that.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You pretty much described it to me that way, which is, Bella, your adult is starting to come out. And if this adult keeps trying to tell you what to do, then...
then you can't be an adult.
You're not being the adult, and the adult is trying to emerge. And so you were letting her adult come and express herself so she could start that
It's so
process.
true.
I just thought that was gorgeous.
There's a lot right now as she's becoming an adult, and I don't know what it's like to be a parent of an adult, and she doesn't know what it's like to be an adult, and yet she's choosing to stay home while she goes into this adulthood at Portland State University.
She's starting college.
Yep.
Kristy, I need to stop. Thank you so much for being on TV Toastmasters with me. We hope to see you again on another episode of TV Toastmasters. This is Phillip Mandell. We'll see you next time.
Hello, my name is Robert Killen, and I'm thrilled to be presenting at this year's D7 Spring Conference. I hope to see you at my session, where we'll be exploring how communication across our culture has become broken and caustic over the past several decades. We'll take a look at different communication methodologies that can be used to address that, and your opportunity as a leader to make positive and lasting change in your work, in your community, even across the globe. So join me at Unleashed Potential, the District 7 Spring Conference, this April 27th at Camp Withicum in Clackamas. For more information, go to d7toastmasters.org.
Hi, welcome to the program. As Toastmasters, one of the things that we need to think about before we get up and speak is what exactly it is that we want to speak about. And sometimes that area, choosing a topic, can be a little bit challenging. So to help me explore this topic of choosing a topic, I've invited Lennon Richardson to join me today. Lennon is a professional marketer and a public speaker. Welcome to the program, Lennon.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure having you here. And I find this a very interesting topic because as a writer, I also love words. And something that Lennon and I had talked about as we were developing what we're going to talk about for this program is you can talk about your area of expertise, and you can become an expert, a top expert in your field, and that can be what you talk about.
Sure.
Or you can play around a little bit, and you can have the freedom to allow inspiration to guide you. But the important thing to remember is that no matter how you go about choosing your topic, really it's not about the speaker. It's about your audience, right?
Absolutely.
So give me an example of how you, as a public speaker, and focusing on your audience, has decided to choose a topic.
Great. So what comes to mind for me is actually the first kind of official public speech that I ever gave. Mm-hmm. And it was for my own spiritual community, which is Celebration Church. The Reverend Barry Dennis had taken me under his wing, and he saw my potential as a public speaker, even though I had no experience doing that.
Awesome.
And then the opportunity came up where he was going to be out of town. They had not booked a guest speaker, and so he asked if I'd be willing to do it. And so I said, of course I would be. But I was really racking my brain trying to decide what I could speak about. And so I just honestly started thinking about topics that had been spoken there previously. And then what I decided upon was something that was really relevant to my life at that time.
Okay.
And that was the topic of forgiveness. I chose that topic specifically because I had just done a lot of forgiveness work in regards to my relationship with my father. He was a drug addict and an alcoholic growing up, and so it was really challenging.
Yeah.
But my big brother was coaching me and saying, like, you need to forgive Father. It's not for him, it's for you.
Right.
And I did. Through some, lots of attempts, I was able to finally to forgive him. And then I told him that I loved him, and then just a week later, surprisingly, he overdosed.
Oh my gosh.
So that was, obviously there's a lot of emotion around that, and I wasn't like an expert on forgiveness. I hadn't studied forgiveness.
Right.
I couldn't give you a scientific formula for forgiveness.
Right.
But it was so germane to my life that that's what I chose, and I knew it would be something that would be relevant to the audience as well.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying. It's not like you have a degree in forgiveness.
Right.
But, and this actually, it takes me back to a time in my life where I was a brand new certified transformational voice teacher. Now, this was an 18-month apprenticeship program that I went through, and I was one of 12 in that very first class. And some of my colleagues had, several of them had music degrees, and some of them were advanced master's music degrees.
Wow.
And I knew going into this program that I was the baby of the bunch vocally. I'd been singing my whole life, but I had no training, no music degree, no voice teaching experience at all. And so when I got my certificate that said I was certified and I started accepting voice students into my home studio, I was feeling really insecure about it. Mm-hmm. And, one thing that really helped me was my fiance reminded me, he said, just remember, no matter how much or little experience you have, you know more than your student.
Wow.
And that took a load off. And then, of course, with each student, I did gain more experience. And, the cycle continues. But wow, that's just the thing. You don't have to be an expert.
Totally. I totally agree. I really resonate with that phrase, being the baby of the bunch. When I gave that first speech, this was to an audience of about 100 people, and pretty much everybody there was older than me. They were definitely wiser than me. Like, there were people that I looked to, like, for spiritual guidance, and here I am now being asked to share some wisdom with them. Mm-hmm. And so what I discovered, though, is that even though, like, I wasn't even necessarily a step or two ahead of them, I was more a peer of theirs.
Right.
But I was able to offer a fresh perspective. And a lot of times, honestly, it can be helpful to not learn from the top expert. Because if you're a top expert in something, you can be so far removed from what it is like to be a beginner that you can kind of lose touch. You have your own vernacular set and everything like that. And then on the flip side, if you're a beginner trying to, embark on this new journey and you're looking at this top dog, you can maybe think that's unattainable. Where if somebody is just a step or two ahead of you, then you can relate to them and can actually be a more effective public speaker if you just are maybe a step or two ahead.
No, I totally agree. Some of the best speeches I have heard have been from people in that exact same situation. And also, it could be less intimidating.
Right.
Because there is that intimidation factor that can come in as well. So, what kind of where we're going with this is it's about what's fresh with you. It's about what's relevant to you. A lot of things that are recent to you, that are alive and you're passionate about right now is something that can resonate with your audience because we're all part of this human condition, right?
Yes.
But to me, there is also this place where I like to invite in inspiration. It's like I'm given this speaking assignment, or I'm having a guest on TV Toastmasters tonight, next Tuesday, It's like, what do we want our topic to be? Well, I get some of my very best ideas when I'm out walking. That's for me. Everybody's different, but I call it a God walk. It's a combination of visualization, meditation, exercise, and I just kind of open myself up to get new, fresh ideas, and that's when they come. And I have one very specific example of one day when I was out walking, and out of nowhere, really, this idea just plummeted into my head, you ought to teach an acting class. And really, my response was, what? Where did that come from? Because I really did not consider myself an expert in acting because I hadn't been in that many shows. I had not even auditioned for that many shows, not alone not being cast in them. But I sure was a heck of an acting student, having taken, 14, 15, 16, I don't know how many classes. And here I am, I'm a certified vocal teacher. I know how to act. Why wouldn't I teach an acting class? So it's like, what a great idea. So I found myself at my easel. I was brainstorming, what's authentic performance? What does that mean? What's the definition of it? And then eventually I did have 2 separate classes, hope to have more. 2 of the richest experiences of my life, and for my students as well.
Wow.
So, I mean, do you have an inspiration kind of example to share with how you got a topic?
Sure. So, contrasted to my first speech, which I kind of took a very systematic approach to discovering my topic, and then I did a really good job, knocked out of the park, so they invited me to come back and give a second speech, which was put like maybe 2 or 4 weeks out. So I had a little bit more time to kind of think about my topic. And so I wasn't like so anxious about deciding what to talk about, and was just seeing what happened.
Right.
And after giving that first speech, I was in such an elevated state of mind that I was noticing, I had so much intuition that it was just out of control. I would walk into this pizza parlor and I'd be like, oh, my friend Thomas is going to be here, as I'm opening the door. And I open the door and there he is. Okay, I'm going to have pizza with Thomas today.
Oh my gosh.
I met this girl in a laundromat, and I was able to guess all these strange things about her. I even guessed her name, Isabella, which freaked us both out.
Oh my gosh.
Totally. But so that idea kind of just like plopped into my head. I'm like, okay,
Right.
this is what I'm going to speak about. I'm going to speak about intuition.
Right. And so you probably did a little bit of research, just a little
Yeah.
micro study, and then gave your speech. And I bet it went great again.
It did. I knocked that out of the park, and I came back for a third speech.
Awesome. You are an inspiration for new Toastmasters, let me tell you, because you just do not know where these invitations to speak are going to come from. They can come from anywhere. And having a few topics in your back pocket, like we're talking about here, to be ready to roll is an awesome thing. So, we've talked a little bit about being an expert, and I think most Toastmasters at some point do speak on their area of expertise. And that's awesome. I love to hear, say, a financial advisor get up and speak about financial planning. Or a hairstylist get up and talk about how to choose the best color for your hair, or whatever the case may be. And we've talked about being inspired, but let's get back to that piece about the audience, because that's important too. As we mentioned in the very beginning, remembering it's not about me, it's about my audience and how I can inspire them, entertain them, instruct them, make them laugh, whatever the case may be, right? That takes me back to one of my first acting teachers, being the acting student that I am. And she would say, when you're up there and you're all focused about yourself, your nerves, your insecurities, you're going to drop a line, you think you're going to make a fool out of yourself, you're being selfish.
Wow.
Because it's all about me, and it has nothing to do with the people that you're there to serve. That helped me. Even though it sounded harsh, it helped me. I got it. You?
Well, what's coming to mind for me is actually not a public speaking example, but I think it's very relevant. And it was when I was a university student, and I had this professor. It was a hard class, and we'd often have like glossy looks in our eyes. And so the professor would be like, ask questions. I know you have questions, but we're all kind of timid. And so not many people were ever speaking up. But then one day he said, if you have a question, there's a really good chance that other people have that same exact question.
Exactly.
And that really hit home for me. And I was like, okay, I'm a guy with a voice. And so I started thinking about us as a collective instead of myself being so selfish. And I said, this is a question that we probably have. And so those are the type of questions I started asking. The professor and a lot of the students really loved it.
Exactly. And so here we go, just bringing it back to the same theme again, which is whatever is alive and relevant and fresh for us is probably going to resonate with our audience somehow, in some way, shape, or form. So work with that.
Absolutely.
And thank you again for joining us today. So if people want to hear more about what you do, either marketing-wise or public speaking-wise, how can people find out about you?
Absolutely. They can find me on my brand new website, which is Lennon.life.
Lennon.life. Okay, perfect. Thank you again. And audience, thank you for joining us today. I hope you found these tips helpful. Feel free to be an expert. Feel free to be inspired and bring something new and relevant and fresh to your audience. And remember, it's really about your audience, and it's not about us as speakers. We just have a lot of fun doing it. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Your stories can change the world. I'm Mike Goss, and I'm going to show you how. Here's what you'll learn during my 1-hour session. First, you'll learn what makes a good story. What is it that will attract an audience and touch their hearts and minds? Then you'll learn how to apply your stories across all possible media. Whether you're speaking live, whether you're on a teleconference, whether you're sitting in front of the traffic court judge, it's all the same. The skills for success are all the same. Learn to change the world with your stories. I'll see you at the D7 Toastmasters Annual Conference on April 27th.
All it takes is a few words to change someone's mind, to change a community, to change the world. From Toastmasters, you can learn by improving communication and leadership that the words you use have impact. If you create and take advantage of the opportunities available to you, you will grow even more than you ever thought possible. It starts with one action, one decision, one word in the right direction.